So, as I told you before we started, I'm very nervous because I admire and appreciate and love you so much. I've known you now for like 8 years, I think.
Wow.
And I want to start by saying that you've been there for me in numerous ways, in a way where I feel very grateful for your presence in my life, and I thank you for it.
Oh, thank you.
Um,
It's been my pleasure to know you, Ayla.
So, as we talked about lately, I'd just like to introduce you to this crazy internet, YouTube, Facebook world. People obviously know you from Ernst. He mentions you quite a lot in his videos. Um, and I know, or I think I know how much work you've put into the Kala and everything. And I always, always wondered, especially when my life was getting very hard and unmanageable, how does she do it? Right? A big household, three children, Kala, drawing, so many hobbies. I mean, you're Wonder Woman for me. I could barely manage a move or a talk with my son. And you're an inspiration. And as you know, small as I am in this world, I just feel so blessed to sort of give you an introduction here in a way that I think is safe and loving and sisterly. Right? So I don't think many people know that you and I are born 1 week apart.
Yes.
Okay. And every time Ernst tells me, oh my God, Fishty has this heavy transit of something, and especially if it's the big planets, right? Pluto and something, I know that it travels very slowly, and I look at my chart shaking. Oh my God. Right. But today, because it's Women's Day, I know it's not Mother's Day in America, but it's Women's Day here in Europe. And it is also Mother's Day in a way, right? So I
Sure.
wanted to talk about first motherhood.
Yes.
Um, I think we're both at an age where our children are starting to move away. And I've worked a lot with this. If there's one thing in my life that I'm proud about and I'm happy about is my relationship with my son. And I was wondering, how do you do it with three of them?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I feel like the more and more I have worked on my personal issues and what I've held against my parents, my mom, my relationship with my kids has just become more and more beautiful, certainly. And I mean, I definitely can say that, 100%. It has gotten so much more beautiful.
Mm,
So, yeah, even though I don't see them as often or as much as I would like to, because they are doing their own thing and I'm doing my own thing, but the connection and the love with them has been so much more beautiful, certainly.
yeah,
Yeah.
I,
So,
when I think of my son being far away, um, there's this lingering um thought about how much I missed, when I was with him, and every missed hug, every missed opportunity to get closer. But on the other hand, my life has unfolded in a way where my very best friends, I don't have a lot, but I have good, good friends. Um, some of them I never, saw in real life. But even the ones here, we can talk once every 2 years, 3 years, and we're still like best friends. And with my son is the same thing. And I think it's, we're at the age, K2 maturing, where we're right in the middle between children and parents. And I feel this, I don't know who to take care of first, who to protect first, right? My mom
Right.
and my dad or my child. And it seems like the most complex part of my life right now, because I'm finally having my own thing that I adore, my job. And then I have these two polar opposites that I also need to give some attention to.
Yeah.
And I don't know which is the priority, right?
Yeah. And as you said that, the first thing that came to my mind is ourselves.
Mm,
You know, it's us we need to take care of first.
mm,
Because if we get into this tug of war of should I take care of my son, my kids, or my parents, then we're losing ourselves. But when we're in
mm,
touch with ourselves completely, we feel at peace with ourselves, then anything that comes up, that would just naturally happen, wherever we need to, um, you know, more
yeah,
like give our care to, whoever we need to give our care to. It would just happen out of the love of our hearts. Because if you're not giving that to ourselves, that care to ourselves, then we
mm,
will just feel perhaps overwhelmed or feel just pulled. And that's never pleasant. That's never nice,
yeah,
and then we're not really there for them because we're just feeling this pull. Oh, because I should, should
mm,
here or should there. But if we are just centered in ourselves
yeah,
and we are 100% just, giving ourselves the love, then we will just be spreading that out. Then it just naturally spreads out to everyone in our, everyone we love, everyone we don't even know. It just naturally goes everywhere. So yeah, I think that's what I would say because I know that to be true. The more, I won't say that, I'm 100% there because it's just a process, but the more we
yes,
do it to, ourselves,
yeah,
the more it just happens.
yeah. And I think it's the departure point is also very important, because if I come from a very, very unloving, very toxic um, stage of hating myself
Mhm.
completely,
Mhm.
the momentum of that can take longer than for somebody, let's say, who was raised in a loving, caring environment,
Yes.
with models for self-love and so on, right? So I'm still catching up on that momentum of self-loathing, really,
Yes.
which I've been modeled by my parents and, a lot of other people. And so actually my work now, I brought this thing, people who work with me know that I love to use props. And so I'm basically in this, process of just learning, just learning how to expand. And sometimes something can trigger me and I'm just, clamping back, into this fear and stuff like that. Um, and so you've witnessed me in some of those moments, and I'm very grateful that we could work together um, with this new tool that you found and that is seemingly so important to you. I've seen you flourish um, when you do it. Um, there's such a dedication that I've seen the 2 times we worked together, It's like I felt like, come on, we're in this together. You can do it. Um, it's impressive. Thank you.
Thank
So
you.
maybe I will let you um say what it is and describe it a
Okay.
bit. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, so I love your prop that you showed, and
Mm,
it's just this thing of, triggers happen and, we close up and we're starting to expand, but then something happens, we close up, right? And those are all coming from our past memories. Things happen in the past with mom, dad, some other people, boyfriends, husbands, girlfriends, whatever,
yeah.
even kids,
Kids.
anytime anyone says, we immediately take that as a signal, oh, there's something I need to protect myself from. I'm getting hurt. I have to like just close up again. And they're all coming from basically in the past, growing up and something happened, or how we saw our models, our role models. And yeah, I mean, I can say like definitely, my past wasn't, rosy growing up. There's all kinds of stuff, but what are we doing with that now is what's
Yeah.
important. So yeah, I mean, I was completely full of just all kinds of stuff, but the more I have worked with this tool that I found, the more, I mean, I think of my mom and dad and I'm smiling.
Yeah.
And before that, it was 180 degrees. It was like opposite, like just cringing at the thought of needing to call them this and that, all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's about like taking our old memories
Mm-hmm.
and recognizing that, okay, it's not happening anymore.
Mm,
And who's doing it to me now? I'm doing it to
right.
myself, right?
Mm,
So I am keeping myself, and then it's because, we have this flight and fight response, it's just this limbic system, our unconscious mind, because it's holding all these references, it's holding all these memories, these body sensations, these pictures, these words that were said, and the words we are saying to ourselves because we are protecting ourselves, all these things that are coming from the past we're holding on to,
mm,
and it's still playing in our mind because it's inside ourselves, right? It's still in there protecting us,
yeah.
but it doesn't know that it's over now
Yeah.
because it's still in there. I mean, no matter what happens, until we heal those parts, until we change those,
Mm,
still in there. And then, memories are just writings on a piece of paper. They're just
yeah.
there. But a lot of people don't know that they're just written with pencil. We
Yeah.
can change those memories because, um, not until recently, uh, we didn't think that memories were changeable. Memories were permanent, supposedly, but we didn't know that memories could be changed. So
Mm,
memories are changeable. Neuroplasticity is a whole new
yeah.
branch, and it's an amazing science. And
Yeah.
so the
Amazing
work I'm
time to
doing
live.
is,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. So this is all about neuroplasticity. It's about how we're holding those memories and we're still playing them inside of ourselves, because as long as they're in there, they'll be playing. Even unconsciously, we won't even know why we are acting a certain way,
Mm.
why we are getting angry at a certain look. Like somebody looks at it as us at us in a certain way, and we're like, this is what
Yeah.
it means. They
Yeah.
might not even mean that. They just, might have a whole completely different thing going on. They're not even looking at us or
Yeah.
thinking about us, but we see that look and we get triggered
Mm,
because because like a teacher looked at us that way and it was like something bad happened, or our mom or dad, they were in a bad place and they looked at us, or they looked at
Mm.
each other, whatever. So there's these memories inside of us, and we keep recycling those and we keep reusing those in our lives. And unconsciously, because it's not happening anymore, we're
Yes.
here, we're safe, it's okay, but we keep playing those. So the tool I use is Utaptics, and it's called Utaptics Faster EFT. And there is classic EFT, which is a completely different system. It's all about just kind of saying certain things.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, I've
yeah,
tried it. I've tried it, and I think many people have tried it. And I mean, some people have results, but I always thought that it was for sort of lighter things, oh, I'm scared to go into a plane, and it works for people. But when it comes to, developmental trauma and all this heavy stuff,
yes,
I didn't find it to work simply because I wasn't able to word the script for myself enough. People who know EFT know what I'm talking about. And you have to obviously have a habit out of it. And by the time you develop that habit, you get bored, there's no results and stuff like that. But what you're doing is very different, even if it's called EFT. One part
yeah,
of
it's
the,
faster EFT. Yeah, yeah, part of it. Yeah.
so how is
Yeah.
it different? What's the main difference, would you say?
So, so Utaptics is based on the um, well, it's based on neuroplasticity, first of all, and it's has nothing to do with saying any script. I mean, tapping is involved, but tapping is not the most important part. The most
Mm,
important part here is changing the memories. We're actually going in, retrieving those old memories. And memories could be anything. Memories could be pictures you see, the
mm,
words you hear, or even just feelings. If you're feeling any feeling in your body, any kind of kinesthetic feeling, that's a memory too. Because
yeah,
sometimes we don't remember the pictures, but there's just this feeling.
yeah.
So retrieving those feelings, how you're doing it, taking ownership of it. And that's the
Mhm.
most important thing. Because
Yeah.
until we take ownership of it, it's not happening anymore. I am doing it to myself. Um, they're not in my head. They can't fit in my head. I am showing myself the pictures. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? I
So
am,
this is what you mean by taking ownership. It means to see it as a outside of you. It's not, oh,
yeah,
I am this, but more like I feel this, and I'm ready and willing and able to change it.
yeah,
This is a bit.
yeah. And then, somebody says something and we take it as something else, because we have these references of like perhaps we got abandoned as a child, or somebody looked at us a certain way and we got I don't know, like we got scolded, whatever it meant, that we hurt them or we got hurt by them.
Mm,
And so taking the ownership means that that they're whatever they are doing, if I'm feeling it, if I
mm,
am feeling that trigger, if I'm getting triggered, that means it's something inside of me. There's a
yeah,
reference, there's a memory inside of me that I'm recycling, that
yeah,
I am doing to myself,
yeah,
because they're going through something and they have their problem. But how am I making it my problem? So we
yes.
can be in our problem, get triggered, or we can not be in our problem and we can actually really see what the other person is going through.
Hmm.
Because if we get triggered and then we bring up our own problem, oh yeah, they don't love me, or they're mad at me, or I did something to hurt them, or what did I do, or um
Mm.
they're gonna abandon me or something like that, whatever. Um, that means there's a problem inside of us.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't have those references, I wouldn't be thinking that way,
Right.
right?
And something comes to my mind. My relationship with my son, talking about motherhood, was really broken at one point. And you know how sometimes there's this thing where you sort of mechanically, automatically say, I love you. And even,
Yeah.
and he would answer nothing or at most, thank you. And I would suffer for a day or two because of that, right?
Right. Yeah,
And
because
I
you
think this
suffer
is what you
because you
need.
have, yeah, there's a guilt in there, right? So you're suffering,
Yeah.
but go ahead.
So with time, I understood that that is my responsibility and that is
Yes.
um, for me to work on.
Right.
Now, what I've noticed in my working with people is that this part is the most difficult. People love to talk
Yeah.
about what happened to them and who hurt them
Yeah.
and how
Mhm.
horrible that person is. Uh, right. So I think this first step.
Is the
It's
first
almost like
step.
yeah,
It is the
getting
first
out in
step.
the cold in winter, in the morning. That's if that step is done, the work is much easier.
Exactly.
Mm,
Yeah. And so we have there's like it's our model of the world. It's like we
mm-hmm,
can either see ourselves, oh, they're doing it to me, I'm the victim, whatever they said, right? Mom did this to me, dad this did this to me. Uh, if you're religious, the preacher did this to me, they said
yeah,
this, the teacher did this, oh, I had an accident, that's why I had this problem. Um,
yeah,
I
yeah.
got sick,
Anything
that's why I
but
had this
looking
problem.
inside. Yeah,
Yeah. So there's that, we can be in that victimhood, which 99.9% of us are in there, right?
yeah,
And even if we're not, we sometimes go back in there because, and
yeah,
then the thing is taking ownership. It's like they did something and how I respond to them, how I
mm,
respond to whatever they have to say, whatever is going on is my responsibility. I take ownership of how I respond to their look, to what they say,
mm,
to anything that's going on. That's
mm,
my responsibility. How I do it to myself is my own. I take ownership of that because there's something inside of me that I'm pulling out the references from, resources from,
yeah,
and I take ownership. I heal myself, and how I respond to the world is my responsibility,
yeah,
basically, right?
yeah. I think that this is. I mean, I cannot not talk about this because most of my ducklings, I call my clients,
Yeah.
and, um, they have issues with anger,
Yes.
unexpressed anger, right? And there's a certain kind of emotions that we are allowed to express, especially when we're kids, right?
Yes.
And sometimes this reaction that you're talking about is simply not in our repertoire, let's say, right? Because
Yeah.
we never
Yeah.
were
We don't
able to
have it. Yeah,
express it,
exactly. That's the
right?
right
And
word.
and so this reaction to somebody's look, sometimes it's healthier to be like, hey, don't you look at me like that because I don't like it, and you don't get to look at me in that way. I think that is so important in our society to get to express something that is so natural. I mean, I have this, I showed you my cat, right? And we have basically the more or less the same nervous system. And when she gets mad, even though she's very loving, she will scratch you. But the difference is that it doesn't linger on for hours and for days, and it's just a reaction, a normal reaction of the nervous system. Hey, I'm warning you that this you don't get to do this with me, right?
Yeah. Yeah, well, there's
Yeah,
that part. Yeah. But then also we can respond. How we respond is we take we have control over how we respond.
sure. Yeah,
If
yeah.
we can realize within ourselves, oh, that look, they looked at me. Who does that
Mm,
remind me of?
yeah, sure.
Oh, okay. It has nothing to do with this person. Has nothing to do with how my boyfriend or my husband looked at me.
Mm,
Oh, my mom used to look at me like that, or my dad. Oh, I'm feeling this not because this person looked at me, because I remember when I was a child and my mom looked at it me that way. That judging look or that condescending look, whatever that was. Oh, okay. All right, mom had problems, whatever mom was going through,
mm,
but I took it personally. I held it within myself, and now it's up to me to heal that.
mm,
And for that look, whatever that means, whatever happening now with this person, they have something going on, and I
mm.
can choose to scratch at them. I can choose to just make it bigger and bigger and make meanings out of
Sure.
this,
Yeah,
be a victim again, or I can truly be in my present. Like, what does that mean to me, really? If they look
sure.
at me certain way, what does that mean to me?
Mm,
Does that mean that mm, I feel like I did something wrong, so I just want to like shrink away, or I want to explode all over them? Or do I just see it as, oh, they're going through something, it has nothing to do with me? That
mm-hmm.
I stay in my true self, I stay um in my truth,
Yeah,
I mean, and then whatever they are saying, it has nothing to do with me, or whatever they're looking at me like,
yeah.
it's yeah.
You know, what I want to say is that sometimes our very assessor, assessing capacity is skewed because only you know, we only can see certain colors, certain things, and out of the whole spectrum, we interpret that all of it is red,
Yes.
right? And that seems, oh my God, this person attacks me, when it's not at all the
Mm-hmm.
case.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Or our assessing apparatus, you know, is
Yeah.
so frozen that we experience real abuse from people and we don't react because, you know, so there's such a fine line to me, and so much habit work needed to really let the body express
Yes.
its own response as opposed to reaction. I think this is where we're
Yes.
getting here. Not
Yes.
reacting, but
Not
really
reaction.
responding
Yeah.
to um, adverse situations, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like coming out of the reaction to being in the present and then responding out of the truth,
Mm,
you know?
yeah.
Yes. And see, like the word you use, the repertoire, we all have that inside of us based on our experiences. We
Mm,
won't have any references inside of us if we haven't experienced it. Like if somebody was colorblind, they
mm,
wouldn't know the difference between the red and the green or something like that,
yeah.
right? Or if it was a blind person, like you have heard the stories, like a blind person trying to
Hmm.
describe an elephant, right?
Yeah.
Or like, there's an elephant and they're just making it up. Oh, this is a snake, this is a rope, and this is
Yeah.
pillars or whatever not. And if we don't have a reference for something inside of us, we have no idea what that's like. So
Yeah.
if we don't have a reference of what that um, look means,
Mm.
then we're not
It's
going to
scary.
react to that.
Yeah. Sure.
Right.
Sure.
So with with faster EFT, with eutaptics, what we are doing is going inside of us, going into the unconscious mind
Mm-hmm.
and changing those memories of those looks. We're changing our references of what it meant, and we're
Mm-hmm.
basically changing our brain. And doesn't mean that, that we are just being naive about whatever happened. We don't want to let go of these things, these memories, because we feel like if we let go of them, we're forgiving them for what they did to us. We want to hold on to that, that anger, that all these things, right? And basically, who are we doing it to?
Mm.
We're doing it
That
to
ourselves.
ourselves.
Yeah.
We're doing it to
Yeah.
ourselves over and over, over and over. They did this to me. They did that to me. I'm going to hold on to it because it's the righteous thing to do, because whatever.
Yeah.
And so, is it time to just let all that go? Really? I mean, do we want to
Yeah.
just take it to our graves? It's
Yeah.
it's just
That can
time
be
to let it
okay
go,
too, but
basically.
at some point there is, at least from my experience with our work, when we worked together, I remember there was some very sticky points.
Yes,
And from what you just said, that righteousness, I
yes.
won't let that go. Oh. Right. But
Even
then,
if somebody gets raped,
mm,
and who is it doing it to? Who's
yeah.
doing it to themselves over and over? Are we playing those
Yeah.
again and again
Mm,
in our minds and making an identity out of it? I was
yeah.
raped, and so I'm not saying that it makes it right.
Mm,
Doesn't make it right, because that's the worst thing that can happen. But then, are we doing this to ourselves over and over, living out of that identity, um, and just doing it to ourselves and just being in the righteousness of that? Are we doing that? And
yeah.
so, wouldn't it be much better to just release the traumas, the this pain, the anger, and the guilt, and the shame, and all the stuff, the betrayals,
When I
so we
was
can.
working with you, sorry, um, at one of these sticky points, when
Mhm.
I finally got into the new paradigm, let's call it, right? And the tapping helps with sort of distracting the
Yeah,
mind from the same old, path, boulevard,
exactly.
special poor me,
Yes,
uh, you know, when
yes,
it seemed like almost like a decision, like a mini decision.
it is, isn't it?
Okay, just yeah, just let it
It is.
go, right?
Yeah,
Do
it is a
you
decision.
think that is it? It's ultimately, is it a decision?
It is a decision. It's like it works both ways. There is a decision. So that's the taking the ownership part, right? Okay, I'm taking the ownership. I'm making this decision. And soon as we consciously make the decision,
Mm,
and then consciously and unconsciously, okay, it's safe really to let it go. And
yeah.
soon as we do that, then what we're doing with tapping is it's a whole process of neuroplasticity, and it's not just tapping. You have experienced it. We are like making animal sounds,
Yeah.
laughing, joking,
Mm-hmm.
just making it fun, because what the process is, we go and associate to that bad memory, and
Mm-hmm.
then we're stepping out of it, and we're going to a good place, feeling good, looking at our good things, thinking of good memories, and we're feeling
Mm-hmm.
these good feelings, and we are injecting those
Yeah.
in that bad memory. And so neuroplasticity works in the way that soon as we start injecting good feelings where those bad memories used to be,
Mm-hmm.
those bad memories, those bad feelings get lighter and lighter, or they feel, not so intense anymore, not so powerful anymore. And slowly, those bad parts of the brain start getting injected with this good feeling.
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole process of neuroplasticity is we're just putting a nice feeling on top in those same neurons in the brain where those bad feelings used to be, those bad memories used to be.
What I when we were working, obviously I have a lot of practice in her work. I'm a nerd in that,
Yes.
to say the least. But what my experience was that it's almost like I had access to a different part of my brain that instead of being stuck in fight, flight, or freeze,
Yes.
it got into this almost like curious, open, trusting uh, part, which is, I would say that's the most human part of the brain,
Yeah.
imagination, curiosity,
Yes.
um, stuff like that, where I was able to engage in, those funny words and just being light and fluffy
Mhm.
about it, right? Which
Yeah,
that part of our would not engage with. It simply
exactly.
felt like it doesn't have access to all that.
Yeah, yeah. And what as I explore it more and more and just think deeply more and more about it, it's I don't know if I'm sure you've heard about it, but when we're in the fight and flight, we're in this primal limbic system, because it's all about just survival and protecting ourselves. This happened, it could happen again, so I have to just always be in this state. Always,
Yeah.
always, always, right?
Mm,
But when we come out of it and go into these good feelings, go to the good memories, we feel really good. And then we're almost in this alpha brain wave, you know, is we're coming out of this just like
yeah.
craziness to a calmer,
Mm,
a calmer, more in touch with our higher self in this imaginative part of the brain, in a very connected part of the brain,
yeah, and
also
creative. Yeah.
present, yeah, in a creative part of the brain. And
Mm,
when we come out of the limbic into this part of the brain that is creative, calmer, relaxed, and I think that's what changes it, and then we're taking these good feelings
mm,
of whatever it could be, the creativity, the calm, the relaxed, the higher, the intuitive part of the brain. And then
mm,
it's like if you take that and go to this good memory, this or the bad memory doesn't even seem like it's
yeah,
important anymore. It doesn't
yeah, it
matter anymore.
collapses.
And that's when it changes. That's when
Mm,
the brain just releases it. There's a forgiveness that comes out of it. And then it's not important anymore to hold on to.
yeah,
And yeah, and then that's when the shifts happen. That's when the changes happen. And then we can change our stories. We are rewriting. So the whole process of eutaptics is we're rewriting
mm,
our memories. We are actually rewriting the memory as to how we would have actually wanted it to happen and to
mm,
program that in our brains by practicing it and making it a part of our lives
mm-hmm.
and to put that into the alpha part of the brain
Yeah.
into
So my
yes.
experience when we worked together was that, it's not that I didn't trust the process, but I was still very surprised how sort of permanent the collapsing of the bad memory was, even just after one session. It's like, do you know that those images that have two meanings, like the two vases?
Mhm.
They have a name, but it escapes me right now. Once you've seen that there's two vases and not just two profiles of faces, you cannot really forget. It's kind of
Then you
like the
cannot
same. Yeah.
Yes,
So
yes,
so it collapsed in a way where every time it tries to come back again as the scary monster it once was, it doesn't have the same power, structure, whatever. Now, the other part
exactly.
that you're saying about the replacing of the memory with a good part, that is more, that demands more engagement, that demands
Yeah,
work after that, right?
yes,
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, yeah, yeah,
right.
yeah. So soon as, and our brains have this part called the reticular activating system, the RAS.
Mm,
And what that is, for somebody who doesn't know it, it's just, um, this is the part that shows, I mean, because there's billions, actually, there's like billions of pieces of, and I'm just saying billions, but it's like something crazy, like
yeah,
big, huge
a
amount of
lot of them. Yeah.
pieces of information coming at us every second,
Mm,
but we only see the things that are important to us,
yeah, yeah.
right? And we're only seeing the things that are important to us because the unconscious mind, this RAS system, filters through all the information that's coming to us, only the things that we hold important to us. Now, if you're
Yeah.
holding these bad beliefs, these bad memories, these bad emotions as the important thing to us, that look, right? Or those words, that tone
Mm,
of voice, right? If those are the important things to us, those
yeah.
are the
What?
most scary things to us. That's what we will see over and over in our life. And that's the law of attraction.
Mm,
And so whatever
exactly.
that's inside our brain that's important to us, we will
Mm,
keep seeing that. It'll keep repeating in our life. It'll keep coming back to us. We will
mm,
see it everywhere. We won't see the good things
yeah,
because all those as important as this bad stuff, right?
yeah. And I think
And
it's important to mention that the brain is a safety machine.
yes,
So poor thing, right? We say, oh my God, this brain, and it keeps us stuck and whatever. But no, it has one mission, right? To
keep
keep
us
us
safe.
safe. And
Keep us safe.
safety is consistency. And
Yes,
consistency, it means, okay, I need to see the same things so that I don't feel threatened.
me
And I
safe. Yeah.
actually, it's called, some people call it golden shadow,
Uh-huh.
meaning you become afraid to be happy,
Yes, because what would
right?
happen if I'm happy? Like, what was the reference inside of us? What happened in childhood when I was happy, when the things were normal, something bad happened?
Yeah, sure.
And so we hold on to that. We're doing that over and over to us again, you know, still now
Yeah.
because of something that happened in the past.
Mm,
So now the healing requires us to go and make peace with those memories, whatever happened, and change this to something good. Because if we keep holding on to that, it'll keep happening again and again. Whatever we
yeah.
hold inside us of us, it keeps showing up in our lives in a different, bigger, more scarier pair of shoes. They just keep coming back over and over.
Yeah.
And so when we change that to something good, what would be important to us is a new reference, a different look, a nicer look, some better words. It's
Mm,
like it's not being naive, but it's because it's what's important here is what we are willing to do to ourselves over and over and keep repeating it. So do you want to keep repeating those looks, those words, those scary bad moments? What happened? Or do we want to attract better things in our lives now? And so the point here is to go and change those to something good, something we want to happen, want to experience again in our life.
yeah.
Because that reticular activating system is going to show us what's more important to us. So when we go change it to something good, it will show us how this person is actually, this is not what
Yeah.
they meant, or we will see the nicer looks, we'll hear the good words, we will see the
Mm.
connection instead of always looking for something they're gonna do.
Or
And
or we will
yeah,
see that the person is like that. There are, nasty people in this world,
because
but
they have
this,
their own problems. Yeah.
yeah, but that, this form of, I would call it self-empowerment, which is a
Yes,
huge part of self-love, will
it
help
is.
us disengage. Hey, this is not for me, right? There are
Exactly.
so many people that don't know how to say no and stop,
Yes.
just because they don't feel secure enough, and they're in this loop to
Yes.
loop where, it's not, um it's not gonna work at all. But this, what you're saying, really for me, is this element of self-empowerment
It is
that I
self-empowerment.
have fought like crazy to bring
Totally.
about.
Yeah. Absolutely self-empowerment because we are empowering ourselves of how we want to live our life.
Mm,
Know,
yeah,
if you, yeah, there's nasty people, and if we're attracting those nasty people over and over again, there's a hook there.
yeah,
There's a hook there of why we're attracting these people in our life over and over again. Because somehow it depends on what we're holding inside. Who knows?
yeah.
Yeah. And so
I
as we
mean,
clear that out,
oh, there's fine lines all over the place.
yes,
Um, when in it depends from where you're looking. I know myself being guilty of um relishing into the self-loathing of, oh, you
yes,
attracted that, you nasty whatever.
right.
So
Yes, yes,
so I think all that we're saying here, just for safety reasons, I would say, um, just get people to get into this work with the most authenticity they are capable of at this point in their lives, and just trust, build that human trust. I come back to my cat, right? She can jump from here to there, but that's instinct. It's not trust. Humans have trust. And once you resonate with a talk like this and feel empowered by it and hopeful in the right um, manner, meaning it's not a crazy hope and adrenaline, dopamine, whatever rush, where you're jumping from your status quo of here and you're going here. It's not sustainable,
yeah,
right? So, correct,
yes,
do you
it's
see?
not. Yes, I see. Yes, absolutely.
And
Yeah,
there, I think there's many people out there who come to us, healers, whatever you want to call ourselves, with these crazy hopes that, okay, I'm gonna do a session with Ayla or with Shrishti or Ernst or whoever, and everything's gonna be fine. But if you don't have the capacity to maintain this, and it's not even natural to stay like this because nothing stays, uh, you know, um, anything that stays is dead. Right?
yes,
Anything that, contracts and expands is life. I think it's important for people to realize that we're just talking generalities here.
yes,
And the best, very, very best way is to come and try it. Come and try different sessions, different people, different opportunities to empower themselves, you know?
yes. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There's healing in so many ways, there's healing the past, but then
Mm,
also building our container. Now that we remove that, what are we gonna put in there instead? So we're
mm,
putting good stuff. We're doing
yeah,
um things for ourselves that heal us, help us, sustain us,
mm,
uh, just build our container, making it
yeah,
bigger and bigger because then those triggers are not going to just shrink us like this. or good
Sure.
things are not going to like go like this. It's not going to be like this. We slowly build our container. We put good things in it. We
Yeah.
nurture ourselves. We nourish ourselves, and that helps. There's so we basically with eutaptics we are clearing out those bad memories, and we are making new memories, and we are implanting new memories there. And that's a beautiful part. And as we are implanting new memories, as we are giving ourselves permission to feel good,
Mm.
then we can do things. And as we do those things that make us feel good, our container grows. We are a good self-sustaining, but not like, but in a really good centered way. It's like, and the more we do that, the more we are empowering ourselves, giving ourselves the permission, just if anything as simple as to just, take few deep breaths.
Mm. Right.
Triggers happen all the time, and just recognizing that this is just a trigger. I don't need to go like this, right?
Mm.
Just taking that, oh, this is a trigger. I'm okay, I'm getting triggered. That's the ownership part, right? Take a few deep breaths. Okay, I just got triggered. That's all right. I take ownership. I go tap on myself. I go do whatever. I go on a nice walk, and just noticing that there's something inside of me that still needs healing.
Mm.
Doing things for ourselves, like, drinking 3, 4 bottles of water every day, feeding ourselves, nourishing ourselves, because when we are in a always triggered state, we don't nourish
Yeah.
ourselves. We
Yeah.
just shrink and go back into a ball, right? We just kind of contract. We're just in that flight, fright, freeze, fright, run away, or just explode all over the place mode. And that's not nurturing. That's not self-empowerment. That's
Sure.
just like victimhood, self-righteousness, whatever. And that's
Yeah.
not that. Yes. So as we
What
do
I
this work, mhm,
mm, so
yeah,
what where I'm at with this is that I have learned, but this is so my case, and obviously I tend to attract clients similar to my experience,
yes,
a
yes.
lot of developmental trauma, which means it's pre-verbal,
Hmm.
most of it. And so I have learned that when I constrict, when I'm getting triggered, I have learned that I have to respect that moment for a while, to
Yeah,
internalize it,
yes,
to let it pe pen penetrate, permeate my body so that it with the power of my own awareness, because I am being present. I know I'm doing it. I'm not just getting triggered and I'm sitting there shaking.
exactly.
With the power of my awareness, I am just allowing with a lot of compassion for my body to go through that experience. Um, and then again, this fine line where so with practice and a lot of self-compassion, when the triggering has done its job in your body and when the victimhood starts. And that is the opportunity to go into, okay, now the empowerment can come and I can shift that into a place where I feel a lot better.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, and when we're going, triggers will always be there.
Mm.
There's triggers and
Yes.
there's perceptions. Those you cannot change. How we perceive the
Mm.
situation, the
Yeah.
perceptions of other people, our perceptions, the triggers will always be there. But as we do the healing work, we are getting triggered, but then there's that awareness. Oh, I just got triggered, and it's okay to feel this.
Mm.
I'm feeling this. And that feeling, whatever it is showing me what else I need to let go of. And we can
Mm.
go into the trigger, but when we're going in there with awareness, compared to just getting triggered, just like whatever
Yeah.
that place that we used to go into,
Mm.
that's a
Yeah, it's
different
very
place
different.
compared to going into it with awareness. And
Yeah.
then as the more we do this work, the time it takes to come out of it
Yeah.
becomes lesser
Yeah.
and lesser and lesser.
Yeah.
And it's just a growth.
Yeah.
There's those two pathways, it's like being in that, like I'm the victim, this happened to me, and there's just that trigger, there's that, and then there's this upper model of the world is okay, I'm responding.
Mm.
I got triggered, I responded, I take ownership of it,
Yeah.
right? Both lead, we're gonna die. I mean, we're gonna get old and we're gonna die. You know, it's like, but there's a difference in how we live the life,
Yes.
right? Always being in that triggered and that lower model of the world,
Forward. Yeah.
or and then slowly, I mean, we are all humans on the earth and none of us is enlightened. There's enlightened people, they're not going to get triggered. But here we are as normal human beings, and we will get triggered, but the time there's the awareness part. I responded to this person, I responded to this trigger, yes, I take the ownership, and then the time it takes to come out of it is lesser and lesser and lesser, and
Yeah.
we're kinder to ourselves, we're kinder to the
Yeah.
people around us,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
and then and then the time it takes to come out of it is lesser and lesser, and we are forgiving.
Mm.
And this the forgiveness is not for everybody else around us, we're forgiving ourselves, and that's the ultimate forgiveness, is when we
Yeah.
forgive ourselves for doing it to ourselves over and over again. And
Yeah.
that ultimate forgiveness is just so beautiful. It's like, sorry
Yeah.
for doing
Yeah.
it to myself.
Yeah.
Thank
Yeah.
you so much.
That
Just
is
thanking
so
ourselves,
beautiful.
thanking our body, thanking our mind, thanking our heart, and
Yeah.
and just forgiving ourselves. And it's just a beautiful path to live, instead of the other one that we used to be in, that constant trigger, that constant
Yeah.
trigger that we used to be in. It's like it's happening to me again and I'm reacting, right? That flight, fight, freeze. And what happens is when we constantly live out of it, and I've experienced it myself, is the mind affects the body. You know, we will notice
Yeah.
that in our bodies, the diseases, the
Yeah.
weight gain, the weight loss, the other diseases that come up, and things that keep coming up, because and
Yeah.
it's all for survival. I mean, somehow the body knows to produce these, and somehow these are helping us to cope with this trigger, or even to
Yeah.
just to take the pain away from the emotions to the body, whatever it is that we're doing.
Yeah. We're discovering more and more that it's not just the brain, it's the entire body and the
The
energy around
entire,
it.
it's the
Yeah.
entire body, yes. And everything, as we heal ourselves, our body heals, our mind heals. There's a calmness,
Yeah.
and our relationships heal.
Yes. Yeah, because
It's
it's,
amazing.
I love this tool so much. Probably think people will think that I'm an idiot or something. I don't, doesn't matter. But you cannot pull at a thing without the rest of it, being affected, right? So when you pull at,
Uh,
self-respect, it will reverberate over the entire thing, right? Yeah, I love these talks. I can see how passionate you are. I mean, it's
oh, me
amazing for
too.
me.
Yes, thank
But
you.
I was going to ask, what's the next steps for you? I know you had and I benefited from your preparation for becoming certified. And when are you going to be able to do it like a profession or something official, let's say? When is that?
Well, that's happening very soon. I am pretty much done with my requirements for it, and that's like by the end of next week, I think.
Oh, cool.
yeah, so I'm finishing my level 3 and then starting level 4 in April. So I'm really excited about that.
Mhm.
But yeah, so yeah, but I've been just loving this process. For me, it's just I'm doing it, I mean, we all do it for self-healing, to begin with, to heal ourselves.
Sure.
But I never realized how much I would actually love working with people.
Mm.
And the more I work with people, it's just self-healing and just the gratefulness that comes out of
Yeah.
seeing the changes in people that, like, they come, they we started the session, they're like just so in that one space of that trigger or that victimhood, or like not finding an answer for their problems, and I'm not helping them find a problem, their what they should do. I am helping them heal that part of where it started. And
Mhm.
when they heal that, the answers just come. It's amazing. I just like the end of the session, the people are just relaxed and calm, and they're knowing their answers. They're
Mm.
knowing what they need to know for themselves, for their lives,
Yeah.
and how to go about it. And it's just been so beautiful to watch the transformation in people.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. And I know
yeah,
that you did it for yourself, right? That's always the winning recipe when we work on ourselves with certain tools and we
yes,
start sharing them, let's say at the professional level. It cannot not work if it's supposed to be working, I would say, right?
yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. And like with your tactics, it works as you experienced, it works even if you don't believe in it, even um if you don't know anything about it, it would work because it's not has not nothing to do with um believing or this or that. It works. It's very mechanical.
Yeah.
We it's neuroplasticity. We go in, pull out the memories where the problem started.
Mm.
We work on those memories. We inject good stuff. We change the memories. And as we are changing the memories and um, putting them back to where the bad memories used to be, the
Mm.
brain naturally, automatically is going to respond from these good spaces, from this good
Yeah.
memory, from beliefs and emotions and sensations. And
Yeah.
it,
I mean, it's all natural. It's just that, it's like I don't know, it's like vitamins, right? You do a tiny intervention there, and then the body, the brain, the entire system, takes on its natural healing process and stuff like that. It's not something where you keep on, I mean, sometimes, I mean, I'm thinking of very, very new people into this field. Oh my God, change my memory. What,
yeah,
right? It's
yeah.
not like
And
that.
the changing the memory, yeah, it can sound scary, uh, but we're not, what we're changing is what we're going to what we will keep doing to ourselves over and over again.
Mm.
So, who would you be if you change your memories? You'll be better off.
Yeah,
You'll be better.
right.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we have these the lot of reasons is, like we don't want to let go of these memories, like, oh, I don't want to change these memories. It's like, this happened to me, as we talked about. This happened to me. Oh, I don't want to change this. It's like there's an
Yeah, it's
attachment
changing an
to,
entire paradigm, right?
yeah,
It's changing, if
it
I've
could
been
be
a
scary,
personal victim, yeah.
right? And sometimes it could be scary. Sometimes it could be like, uh, I don't want to forgive. But again, who are we not forgiving? Is
Yeah.
ourselves. It's like, what do we want to do keep doing to ourselves? Do we want to live from a better place, or do
And
we
I
want to
would
keep living
say,
from this old? Yeah,
mm, I would say, um, it's not even important to search for or to understand or to sort of, um, yeah, to search for. who do I want to be, right? It's important to decide that you simply want a different experience of life. That is what helped me a lot. And it was a true shift to understand,
Yes.
because, if you've been a professional victim all your life and you never looked at your responsibility with it, your brain is going to signal to you, hey, your child only knows his mother like this. It's going to destabilize. And this is important, I think, for people to understand when we start these types of things. In the beginning, at least, it is my experience and people I've worked with, it is very destabilizing because people will start to see you in different ways and you're not reacting to their whatever, right?
Yes.
And there's dynamics between people because those people might, I mean, my mom, when I would not react to her things, she
Yes.
would get even madder, even more aggressive. How dare you not engage with me in the same dynamics
Yeah.
that we sort of, came about it, in years and years of training,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So it can be a little bit, um, yeah, destabilizing. That's the word I would use,
Yeah. I
but
mean,
it is, yeah,
the destabilizing is like there's still a hook inside of ourselves if we are
Mhm.
feeling the destabilizing because that's just our perception of how mom is reacting. Everything we see in this world of how it's just our perception. We don't know really what they are seeing, they are
Yeah.
hearing, they're feeling, right? It's just our perception. So that destabilizing is just coming from that. And then as we heal that as well, that would be
Mm,
gone. And
sure.
yeah, and so the people in our life, we would if as we change ourselves, we'll see them different. Those people will change in front of our eyes.
Yes, I had quite drastic experiences with that. Um, where I could not even find what brought me to the old definition I had of that person, for example, right? I
Yes.
would see them in a certain way and then that just vanished. And I agree, sometimes it can happen like this. It depends on the hook, it depends on many
Yeah.
things. I just am
Depends.
I'm a little bit afraid that people would get discouraged if it just doesn't happen like in one session or something, depending on the hooks we have,
Yeah.
obviously with parents and especially with mothers, to come back
Yeah.
to our
Yeah.
motherhood,
But
right?
there's like guaranteed changes, like how strong their hook was compared to how strong it is now. So there is
Sure.
definitely going to be a shift. There's
Yeah.
definitely going to be a shift of how it affects us.
Sure.
And yeah,
Yeah.
certainly.
it is
Yeah,
it is again, fine line, right? It can be a process and it can be
be
instant.
like that. Depends how much we take ownership of it, right? It's like
Yeah.
ownership, ownership, ownership. How much we want to hold on to that old way of being because and it was put in there for survival,
Mm.
right? But is it still happening? Do I still need it? Am I ready to step into my life with more self-empowerment?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
I think
Do I
that's
take
the
ownership of my life?
mm,
Yeah.
yeah. Unfortunately, some people, some people, they wait until it becomes very scary to make this
Yes.
decision, like a nasty accident or a disease or the death of somebody, when they're confronted with their own mortality or something of that
Yeah.
sort. And then they realize, wow, I have this life here. I don't know if it's the only one or not, but this life here,
Yeah.
I decide that I'm gonna shift
Yeah.
into something else because this isn't worth it.
Yeah. I mean, certainly, we are attracting. based on what we're holding inside. Whatever we're holding inside of ourselves, we're attracting in our life. And and of course, the more life we live, the more, if we're living from this model of
Yeah.
the world, we will keep collecting more and more resources to do this, right? Like more proofs, oh, he did this to me, she did this to me, they did this to me, everyone, like, it starts
Yeah.
from one seed, and we keep building on that. We keep growing our database of how, everyone, the whole world does this to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so the more, we're living from that, the more we keep attracting in our life. So the thing is, we're only attracting in our life, or more like the we're seeing in our life is what we hold in ourselves. You
Sure.
know,
And we are
we want
attracting it for
we
healing.
want to have new experiences, but we're not going to see them until we change our insides, because we won't
Yeah.
see new things in other people. We will
Mm,
only see what we want to see. Basically, the RAS, again, the reticular activating system, it will only show to us what we hold important. So until
mm,
we change our references, our memories inside of us,
mm-hmm.
change what we hold inside of us, we won't see the new things. So if we want to experience a new life, we have to change that same thing inside of us. It's like that thing, we don't get love in life until we have self-love, right? Until we change that
Yeah.
inside of ourselves, then it'll come from the outer sources. Then we'll see it in all over the, in everyone around us, right? And so I
Yeah.
think
And
that's
then,
just a beautiful part of this work is it's very spiritual, it's just about
yeah.
healing, forgiving ourselves, and giving ourselves the permission
Mm,
to to be loved, to be whatever our problem is, to be seen, to be heard, to be appreciated, to be accepted, to
yeah.
feel good enough about ourselves. And that's one of the big things. So many people I've worked with, the big thing, and I know for myself personally, feeling good enough. Do I feel good enough?
Mm,
Am
yeah.
I good enough? Right? It's like everyone, yeah.
That's
And so
that.
once we give ourselves that permission by changing the references inside of ourselves of the times we did not feel good enough, perhaps we were rebuked for something, or shamed for something, made
Mm,
feel guilty for something, and we did not feel good enough, whatever it was. So once we change
yeah.
those memories, yeah, and those beliefs connected with those, and then we can feel good enough.
Yeah. That's been
Yeah.
my experience, at least, it's a truly different life. It doesn't resemble anything from before. It's like you're a different person in a different world with different references and different people around you, even though they are the same, maybe, right?
Yes. Yes. Certainly. I know.
So,
Same people, you will feel completely different with them.
yeah.
Yeah. Because we're choosing to see better
Yeah.
things in the whole world based on
Mm,
what we choose to see inside of ourselves.
yeah. The bit I'm not totally convinced, um, in my own journey and what I'm working on very heavily right now, is the choosing part. Because I think the nervous system doesn't obey to the mental rules. So there is a part,
Yeah, it's
there is,
not going to obey to the unconscious system is
mhm,
not going to obey the conscious mind, just
mhm,
because we consciously are telling, oh, I
yeah,
want to feel happy and good enough right now.
yeah,
If you're not
yeah,
feeling good enough based on what we have, the memories inside of us, the feelings inside of us, based on the past, and a lot of times you might not remember what's in the past.
yeah,
They're just be feelings, or there might be
Yeah.
pictures, the proofs, whatever. If we're not feeling enough, the unconscious mind is not feeling good enough,
Yeah,
we will be
and this is
sabotaging ourselves. Yeah.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
this is what I'm sort of working on right now. It's sort of called somatic experiencing. There's a lot of studies around it, and because discovered slowly that I had a lot of developmental trauma and archetypal trauma and whatever you want to call it, whatever, there's a lot of talk to have there. But I know that everything has to come through the body,
Yes.
through the nervous system, which is,
Yes.
more or less all over the body in different places more than others. So when we say, choosing to believe, I think we have to allow also for the understanding that the choosing is not made entirely by the mind, by the concepts in our mind, but also our body for safety. It chooses to hold on to different triggers, like smell or something, whatever it is, where it's simply you have to go through processes where you help your body feel safe when seeing a dog or
Yes.
when right and um that's what I'm working on right now lately, right?
Absolutely.
I think they're
Yeah.
complementary. Yeah.
They are very complimentary. Yeah. So definitely, yeah. And those sensations in the body, those somatic sensations, are there based on something that happened, some
Mm,
memories that we might not remember, but they're in the unconscious mind
mm,
and in the
yeah,
body, right?
yeah,
Yeah, because we have these memories in the unconscious mind, right? And then the
mm,
mind produces the hormones, right?
yeah, and
The
then yeah,
hormones, yeah, those, and they send the signal to the body to feel a certain way. So anytime a trigger happens, the mind goes back to that reference, and we
mm,
might not consciously remember that memory, but the unconscious knows, and it
mm,
produces those hormones, and we feel the fear, or a smell might trigger something, and we feel these feelings in the body.
yeah. So
And
yeah,
then,
I mean,
yeah,
it gets very complex, and I think for people, just start somewhere until you get here, and then you
yes,
feel that that it naturally needs to expand and go towards what inspires you next. I think it's so important to not get stuck in just okay, this is it, right?
yeah, yeah,
And this is gonna be it. And
yeah,
it's not my experience at least. Um,
no,
but the time where this is it needs total trust in
yes.
some way. It needs total involvement. And this is what I have seen during our sessions and what I'm seeing now with you. But I want to ask you, where can people find you?
Oh, okay. So I am working on my website, just getting that together right now. But it will be change.chit.com. So change that chit. It's a play on words, but then also in Sanskrit, chit is also our inner unconscious mind, our heart, our soul, our mind.
Mm,
That chit is that the higher mind,
okay.
and also like that unconscious. So
Mhm.
when we change that chit is also chit, the chit we carry
Sure,
around of
yeah.
of these things that happen to us, our victimhood, our how we do it to ourselves. As we
Yeah.
change that chit and also that unconscious mind, and the tagline here is by rewriting your script. How we
Mm-hmm.
rewrite our script, we can
Mm-hmm.
change that shit. And when we
Right.
change that shit, we can write ourselves a new script of
Yeah.
how to go ahead in our life, how to step forward in our life, of how we want
Mm.
to see ourselves, how we want to live our life. Things happen in our life because whatever's happening, but how we choose to live
Yeah.
in our life,
Yeah.
how we, instead of reacting, how we respond out of our centeredness
Mm.
is how we, after we change that shit, how we can, and rewriting that script, how we step forward in our life
I'm not
is
sure I could ever pronounce that.
change that shit. It's a C, not an
It's
S, right?
cool.
Yeah.
It's very
So
cool.
yeah, to play on
Yeah,
like change that shit that we've been holding on to, right?
it
So
is.
we're changing that shit. And yeah.
So
um,
it
um,
will be up, right?
it will be
So
up.
in a few weeks or something.
Yes, absolutely, in a week or two. And until then, I have my email, which we can put up at the bottom if anybody needs to contact.
Mhm.
And yeah, absolutely. And I love helping people. It's just so gratifying. It's just
Yes.
been such a blessing in my life. And I know
Yeah.
that I have definitely changed a lot of shit that I've been carrying around. Yeah. And it's just
Yeah.
to feel that lightness of being.
Mm.
And yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I don't get triggered, but what do I do with that trigger? How do I
Yeah.
choose to change it in the moment when I get triggered? How I take ownership of it, and it's been beautiful. It's been a beautiful journey.
I'm, you know, I'm caught thinking about the ways I do find that it's less and less reactive, but I do sometimes choose to get angry and to get to respond to the trigger in a way that's not too princessy any
Sure,
longer. um and that's fine. That is
that's
okay also
totally
to.
fine, because one of the ways to react also is to become pleasing, is to become subservient. That's just another way to respond. It's like, but if you're, that's reaction almost, but there is, it's like we're taking responsibility of life, and
Mm,
responsibility is like respond ability, right? I'm sure you've
absolutely.
heard of it. It's like
Yes.
respond ability. It's like it's our ability to respond. And that
Yes.
just like puts a pause on it. Okay, just pause. How do I respond to this?
Hmm.
You know?
And the pause will be needed for a while because it does become natural, like we said, right? It does at some point, it all restructures itself where it comes natural and you don't have to, sit with yourself and just, contain it and process it and all that. People ask me, how do I get from here to there? Well, you don't need to, you don't get there.
Yes.
It gets there. Your involvement just consists on keep on choosing that
Yeah,
boulevard.
based on that unconscious mind. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then yeah, when the unconscious mind is in alignment with the conscious mind,
Mm,
right? When they're both working together towards what we want in our life, that's when it just comes naturally, it just flows, it just like then we're just responding perfectly of how we want to live in our life. It's when the
yeah.
unconscious is like living in this the with the limbic system of fight, flight, survival. And the consciously, we're like, oh, I am the spiritual being. I am meditating and this and that, and I am happy. How many times we can tell ourselves, oh, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. But then
Yeah.
inside, in the unconscious mind, there's like all this survival, fight,
Shit.
flight, you know. So any and trigger happens, then we just react. And
Yeah.
all that I'm happy, it's like, I thought I was happy, but I'm not. Then
Yeah.
there's this conflict. There's this like craziness, and there's
Resonance.
all this
Yeah.
stuff. But when we are um taking charge, we're taking ownership, and then we change those memories, we change those references in our unconscious mind to what we want it to be. And then we
Mm.
just come to this centeredness that our inner and our outer life, they're working together, you
Yeah.
know. It doesn't have to
It,
be
it,
always happy, 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 smiling, but if there's a calmness, if there's a relaxed, there's a centeredness, then we are responding out of our truth
yeah. A
of whatever
consistency, a
required.
coherence. Yeah. Some people call it heart coherence or something.
Yes.
And sometimes this is how I measure where I'm at, right? If it's too jumpy, I'm about to have
Yeah.
a heart attack,
Yeah.
right? If it's too low,
Absolutely.
it's lethargy and stuff. So there's a lot of things to be said here. How about we do a second one sometimes, or a third
I
one,
would
or
love that. I would love that a
uh,
lot. Thank you.
yeah, I
Yeah.
think it's great that you've got to discover this thing, this healer. I don't think many new things come to a person in a life. I think we're already branded from the start, but some people discover whatever it is that they discover at
Yeah.
crucial points in their lives where they truly can
Yeah.
shine. And I think that
Yeah.
is the case.
Oh, thank you. And I know that you're discovering always new things. And for me too, it's always about learning and growing. And I feel like, it's just always just, how I can grow and just growing because yeah, I don't believe in just like this one thing. I know I'll be growing and I'll be expanding on this. Because that's just how I am. I just keep growing
Yeah.
and adding on to it. And definitely, I mean, the person I was yesterday, I'm not that today, and
Mm.
hopefully for the better always.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. So thank you. It's been a beautiful journey, and it's been really good to know you, and I know that you have helped me in my journey in so many ways. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.